All right, folks, welcome back to Jason's Ceramic Art Room. Today, we are going to make some pretty fun stuff. We're going to look at making a lantern, so let's get started. All right, so yes, today we're going to make a cool lantern. Look at that scary face. Got flames around the back, right? So it's a cylinder. Pulled in this top a little bit so the heat can get out, because we're going to put a candle in there and they can have their little lantern. So this is probably one of the simplest ones you can make out of a cylinder. And they come out great. They look good and they light up at night. They're fun. In the link below, not in YouTube, on Canvas, I'm going to have another link showing you a guy named Finley who makes it called Finley Pots in Texas. He makes crazy ones with thousands of cutouts, it would seem, and from pictures to patterns like this. He makes big ones on the wheel and cuts them all out. So I even have some like crystals. If you want one of these, we can glue it in. Just cut out the place for it, right? So I can show you how to make that one too. That's a pretty fun one. A lot of cutouts. Here's one I did on the wheel. It's what is that, like a gecko, right? Place to put over the candle. A fish on this side. Couple holes in it, so I don't know if it really counts as a lantern, more of a picture, but this one's got all the cutouts. Right? And then this one is inspired by that Finley pot guy that you're going to see online. He had these big pots with like pictures. This is a dragon all the way around, dinosaur. So if you make a big pot, you can make a bigger design. You'll notice you've got to cut out all the sections, right, to make the picture. Get a little tricky in there. The thicker the pot is, the harder it is to cut these things out. That's why I'm cutting at the top. Down here it might be a little too thick. Anyway, so there's that kind. You'll mostly be focusing on these two. I have had students make more unique a round one. So they took their pinch pot and turned it into a bowl and cut out some stars and circles. That works. What you want to avoid is no hole here, because just like your pumpkin will get heat up here and will smoke out the side, right? So you want at least a hole somewhere in the very top in the middle for the heat to go out if you're going to do a calendar. All right, two more they were here before I got here. Crazy heads built on these cylinders. See, it's just a cylinder. There's no hole in the top, so I don't think it was about being a lantern, but it would certainly work, wouldn't it? A lot of sculptural work on there with the faces and the nose, kind of cultural. Looks like a Polynesian almost type of characters. This is more of a monster guy. But that would work if you had a hole in the top. You can build all over your cylinder. So you don't just have to cut off of it being an extracting pieces, clay, but also additive process where you're adding to a sculpture. Not required to add anything to it. Only required to remove pieces and create your lantern. But you can do both. Remember, you can always do more, but don't do less. All right, that's it. They're going to get down here on the table, and I'm going to make one real quick for you. Let's do this. All right, let's get started. First, we need a cylinder. But what I didn't talk about in the beginning was a cylinder that's slightly angled up, because typically these are down low. And if they're straight up and down, it's harder to see the image than if they're angled up. When you look down on something, they're angled up, you can see the image better. So let's see how we can do that. First thing we gotta do is cut a cylinder. I just used some scrap clay here, so I wish it was a little taller. Use my straight edge. A longer ruler would be nice. Like, remember our 45 angle in the end? Helps it go to better, together better when we make the cone. Cut off this part. As far as we can go is here. Remember our 45, same angle. We did 45 here and here. That's going to help it go together a little easier. Which our good side? I like this one, but I want to blend this off. Okay. Bend this, bend that. See how this goes together nicely there? So that is straight up and down. How can we get this to lean in a little bit? Give us a little bit of a volcano shape. Well, this would have to be curved, and so does this. So if you want to get tricky, take your loop tool and this, and you make basically a compass. That would make, and we're going to do this again when we do the bell project. I don't want to close the top. There we go. But now there's not going to be any hole in the top, so we're going to go like this. There we go. Now this, where the center of our thing becomes the center of the cone, it rises up. Rise up, this closes. So we didn't need to do those 45 cuts unless you're going to make a straight cylinder. And you can do that if you want. Since I already have a couple of those, I'm going to do a little side angle. Looking a little small for me, but for demonstration purposes it's hard if it's too small. There we go. That's going to help that overlap a little better and nicer. Let's score this. Agua. And blend it together. So you can see that big piece of clay only rendered me a little cone like this because of that round cut. Doesn't let you get very big very easily, so you're going to have to take a pretty big piece of clay if you want to have a bigger one, and then wrap up the scraps really fast before they dry. I want to smooth the surface a little bit because it cracked from turning it. So if you go like this around the whole edge, just slide from top to bottom with this being wet. It'll get rid of the grid from the canvas of the rolling it out on the slab roller, and it'll kind of compress the surface, get rid of the cracks from bending it into a cone. Alright, all the way around there. There, nice and smooth. May want to also hit this bottom, tends to get sharp and then chip. Alright, I'll use a sponge. Bring out a sponge and clean up your bottom cut. Nothing uglier than rough cuts everywhere on your project. I don't like that. Round it off, nice and soft, see? Okay. Some chunks in here too. Alright. Now I got a kind of a curved hole here. It's not very straight, so I think I want to try to cut this flat. There we go. Put this through here. Open that up a little bit. And smooth it out with a wet finger. There we go. And I have a fairly symmetrical volcanic shape with air bubbles under the surface. Alright. Then you just proceed to cut out the shapes you're interested in. So the other one worked good for a little kind of scary face. Let's see, what can we do? Shapes or picture? Right, you can do either one. You can cut out a bunch of geometric shapes to interlock, or do an image. All right, I'm just gonna do a shape that repeated around the whole thing. So it's kind of like this kind of a thing. This is squares at an angle, so it makes like a diamond shape, I guess you could say. I'm gonna do a different one I saw on their video. It just makes a long cuts like this. I think I can do that fairly quickly and pop them out. That makes sense? Because it's a small lantern I'm making and the clay is thick. So I go like that, pull them out. Yeah, then I get this shape. So now it can help to pre-design or pre-draw things, especially on this square one. You're going to want to draw a grid on it, and then you draw squares inside of each of those grids. You cut out your holes. But this one, I don't think it needs to be as exact as that. But I do want to repeat in a way that's tight and close together. So I'm going to go down in rows, I think. I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to time lapse the rest of this, and that's all you do. So see you at the end here in a couple seconds. If I can rip this out. Go! Okay, now we need a light. Okay kids, it is that easy. See that? I know it has a hard time focusing. Right there. Looks pretty cool. Certainly couldn't drink from it. Okay, so get your clay, make a cylinder or a cone. If you need help making this cone, remember it's a half circle. Ooh, killed it. It's a half circle, and you pull that up into a cone. Hook it together, score and slip, and cut out your pieces. Look at that next video to get ideas and inspiration for how you may want to do more of a lattice work like this, more of a bunch of cutouts. But there's also pictures you can cut out and images. So get inspired and come in ready to do that. Talk to you later. Bye.